you later. Very nice. Well, thank you all very much. I just want to say that the reason I'm here today is because of Randy and Wendy and their vision about utilizing all their great talents to be able to bring to the rest of the world the technology and the science to live longer, healthier lives. And it's really about quality of life and utilizing the latest science and technology that got me so excited about being part of this. And in the past, most of my time and efforts have been in doing things clinical. So this is really something very exciting for me, to be able to finally take out true science and be able to make a major difference in people's lives. And I want to have you think about something for a minute before we get started. Is all of you entered this room as distributors for products in a very exciting company. When we're done here this morning, you will leave this room as completely different people. You will leave this room not as distributors, but as ambassadors to health and leaders in the field of longevity, because it will be up to you to take this information to all parts of the world, and you will literally be able to change the quality of people's lives with what Jeunesse and the science behind Jeunesse has to offer everyone. So with that, let's take a little trip and take a look at what's happened in the world of anti-aging and where Jeunesse and our science is going. Okay, I guess they want me to talk about myself. We'll do that briefly. Over the years, I've been involved in publishing a few books, and most of my books are focused on the key component to aging itself, and that's our DNA. We'll be talking a lot about that. In the Anti-Aging Solution, we talked about how important it is not just to inherit the right genes, because you really don't inherit a destiny. You inherit genetic potential, not genetic certainty. So what this is all about is how to take what you've been given, what God has given you, and make it work optimally for a healthy and productive life. So in each one of my books, what we've talked about is the science and how the science has advanced from, I guess, from approximately 5,000 years ago to where we are today. And we're going to have an opportunity to take a look at all of that. Now, in the 1930s, we finally realized that it's not pieces of tissue, it's not certain things, but it's really the body, it's the body's need for certain compounds that keep us healthy. So the concept of vital amines, or vitamins, became grounded in scientific evidence and proof. Vitamin C was the cure for scurvy. Now, why did the British sailors coming across to the U.S. have these sores and get sick? Well, they had no idea that human beings do not have the enzyme to take carbohydrates and turn it into vitamin C. So the solution was very simple. They stocked tons of limes and lemons, and they would eat those limes and lemons and not suffer from that disease. But no one knew at that time it was the vitamin C. Today we know we not only need vitamin C, but we need dozens of other key things to keep the cellular machinery working optimally so that we not only stay healthy, but we age optimally. Okay, Cornell University in the 1940s, this was kind of right before World War II started, were the first ones to really go back in history and look at some of the advances, particularly the gentleman I talked to you about in Italy did. They wondered, well, if we cut calories down in animals, will that affect their lives, and will that affect our lives? So the first published evidence that restricting your calories actually would make mammals live longer was printed, documented, and became one of the main focuses of anti-aging science for itself. So it was really in the turn of the century that we started to understand that the origin of aging, the origin of health, and the origin of wellness really begins at the level of the DNA and the stem cells within our body. So in the early part of the century, we as a species did an unbelievable thing. We were actually able to understand and look at the genetic sequence, that was necessary to create who we are. So that was a pretty big undertaking and accomplishment. But as soon as we did that, we realized that's really not going to help us that much. We need to know what does DNA do, and how does it interact with the aging process? And that soon was something we learned. Even over the last 4 or 5 years, we've become much, much more knowledgeable, and we'll talk about that in a minute. So the most recent piece of information genetically had to do with the fact that although we all have 100 trillion cells in our body, okay, each one of the cells in our body has 6 feet of DNA. Okay, so from here to here, from the stage to here, if I were to unravel the DNA in one of my 100 trillion cells, it would stretch from the floor to here. Now I want you to multiply that times 100 trillion, and we have enough DNA in each one of our bodies to go to the moon and back again a few times. Interesting, because right now we have the potential to repair the damage to that DNA so we live healthier, better quality lives. Okay? So where are we? In the last 4 or 5 years, we finally had an epiphany. Every one of these things that we originally looked at, from the ancient Egyptians to today, were individual attempts at creating a compound or ingredient, something that would be the magic bullet. There is no such thing as one product or one compound that will cure the aging process. The body has been designed to work as a system, and we finally have a very good idea how all this works. The products we're going to be talking about in the next few minutes are based on the most cutting-edge science and the fact that we finally now understand. That is calorie restriction, the whole concept of repairing our DNA, the concept of keep maintaining our stem cells in good health, and the whole revolutionary concept of telomeres and how they interact with our cells are what our new product is designed on, and actually contains ingredients to help improve each one of these things together. And as a system, the impact of this new science and technology is dramatic. So let's move ahead. So at Jeunesse, our goal is, via the most recent science in DNA, stem cells, telomeres, and the calorie restriction, all proven in the past to impact how we age. How do we put this together and not only keep you healthy, but improve the quality of your health? Okay? Improve the quality of your life and really, really impact how every one of the 100 trillion cells in your body are aging. So let's take a little peek here. So let's take a trip into the body and see what happens. So if we were a tiny little molecule and we actually dove into our body, what would we see? We would see actually a trip into our cell. We would then see these little white particles, which are the free radicals that are the major cause of damage to our DNA. We would see these other little proteins being made from the effects of DNA, and we'd be entering the nucleus. Here's a nuclear pore. We're about to dive into that nuclear pore, and here we'll see our chromosomes. These chromosomes protect and wrap around the DNA to help keep it kind of buffered from all of these free radicals that create the damage. If we were to dive into those chromosomes, we would see the strands of our DNA, and we would see right there the origin of aging. What you just saw is what causes the aging process, because as that DNA is damaged, okay, it begins to create a wrinkle, it begins to create a cell that doesn't work optimally, okay? And we have, for the first time, the ability to start to repair that damage in each one of our cells. Now, why is that important? Because each one of the groups of DNA create genes. And when we're a child, that damage to the DNA and to our genes also contributes to the aging process, okay? Once we hit middle age, right here, the ability of our body to repair that damage dramatically drops. And that means we accumulate more damage than we're able to repair. And that's the effect. It's pretty scary, a whole life in 20 seconds, right? Could somebody run that backwards? Okay. All right, so to simplify the whole process, what's really going on here? The DNA, when DNA is damaged by free radicals, by things in the environment, by chemicals that actually get stuck into our DNA, the body has the ability to repair this at a very, very, very quick rate, up until about the age of 30. Okay? And there's a whole system of a process of things that go on, but in general, we've been blessed because each one of the 100 trillion cells in our body suffers 500,000 hits a day, 500,000 pieces of damage a day in each one of our cells, and we're able to fix virtually every bit of that. Okay? So, we know, for instance, that getting back to the cell, what's the whole secret about anti-aging? Well, if you know how to keep one cell healthy, one of those 100 trillion cells, you can do it for every one of the cells. So we went back to look at what happens when people cut their calories down. Well, what happens is their blood sugar levels drop, okay, and their body fat stays much less. Their bodies look better. The inflammation in their bones and joints gets less, okay? Their ability, their liver function, their ability to keep those free radicals from causing damage drops dramatically. Their ability to keep their heart healthy and their blood vessels healthy is improved. And most importantly, their DNA repair capacity, if they cut their foods down, gets dramatically better. So we know why those mice were living longer. We know why people who tend to do this, who cut their calories down, are healthier. So in my last book, The Gene Makeover, I had to do some research, and I said, well, this is all great for mice and for rats, but does it really work in people? So I searched the literature, and I found a number of places. Okay, in Okinawa, I guess the proof is in humans. They eat 40% fewer calories. Now, it's not that they eat less food. Their plates are actually fuller than ours are, but they eat food with low calories and not a lot of carbohydrates. Compared to Americans, okay, now if I could put this in a pill, and I'm going to kind of go to tell you we kind of have done something very similar to this, but if I could put it in a pill, and this would be amazing. Okinawans, compared to Americans, are 75% more likely to retain their cognitive functions. Their incidence of Alzheimer's dramatically less. They get 80% fewer breast and prostate cancers. Now, if I could create a pill for that, I'd be like a very wealthy man. 50% fewer ovarian colon cancers, 50% fewer hip fractures, 80% fewer heart attacks, and live on the average of 87. It's now up to 90 years of age, and they have the largest number of centenarians in the world. Lifestyle only. But we now know what that does. It markedly improves DNA repair, and it improves a number of things that happen in the cell. Okay, so why is DNA repair so important? Here's the reason. How many people here remember when they were in college or high school, or maybe a little younger, they could go out, party all night, drink, do all the things, get 2 hours of sleep, and get right up and hit the floor running? Because when you were young, all of that damage that your body suffered from the little bit of abuse you put into it over that evening, you were able to repair the damage because your genes and your DNA were working optimally. Now, once you hit 30, that ability starts to drop dramatically. So one of the key focuses of my research has been, how do we maintain that at a more optimal level? In 2002, myself, Dr. Ronald Pirro, and 2 other doctors actually published the first study that showed that if you use the right vitamins, antioxidants, and specific natural compounds that actually augment DNA repair, we could dramatically improve, statistically improve, DNA repair rates. We could drop the free radical levels inside the cell. So that was the first time anyone really even showed that the whole concept of all of these other things that proved to be positive really could be done in humans. So what makes us unique as human beings is that our bodies, the bodies we look at, are roughly 100 trillion cells. And as we age, those cells get worn down. They get impacted by the environment, the chemicals, the artificial ingredients we put into our body.